Hello, Professor Reese, back at you again, as promised. Today we're going to be talking about the African diaspora. The African diaspora. Now, we learned a little bit about the Atlantic slave trade, and I told you that those kind of went hand and foot, or like peanut butter and jelly, because this movement, shall I call it, happened during the transatlantic slave trade, but in the latter part of the slave trades. So if you look in your history books, they say this happened around 1500, but actually the diaspora didn't really get kicked off really good until around the late 1500s, early 1600s. So once again, it was part of the same initiative, the Atlantic slave trade, but now we're dispersing people, Africans, slaves, throughout the United States. So this has a bearing on you and I as we talk about our identities, our family's identities, our lineage. As we talk about that, it's all tied to this movement here. Okay, so let's dig deep. Okay, what is it, first of all? Diaspora, word that I didn't know the meaning initially. And I was like, oh, I'm stuck on the sound of things. I was like, oh, that's a pretty word. But in any event, diaspora, all it means is dispersion. Dispersion or spreading of individuals. So, once again, we're at the end of the transatlantic slave trade where we've got all of these different countries that are coming over to capture and kidnap slaves. And so now we're dispersing slaves throughout the world. And this wasn't voluntary. This was involuntary. So we've got Africans that have left their continent unwillingly and are dispersed to another country in another part of the world. I can't imagine how frightening that would have been. There's more than one diaspora as well, or diaspora, excuse me. There's a Jewish diaspora. Other groups had diasporas, but the African diaspora is by far the largest diaspora and the most well known. Okay. Once again, the diaspora consists of worldwide collection of communities, basically in Africa, those communities out of the different countries of Africa, and they displaced these people to foreign places. All right, so where did they go? North America, the Americas. We have Britain involved. We have France. We have the United Kingdom. We have Spain. We have all of these displaced Africans that are coming from the western coast of Africa, Central Africa, what they call the Ivory Coast of Africa. We have all of these different countries coming over to collect us and take us to different places. Why? Of course, financial gain. We can once again work their plantations. We can work their sugar fields. If I think about North Carolina and the Gullahs, we can work their rice plantations, we can work their businesses, and it's free labor. Now, some of these places way back when did have what was known as indentured servants, where they actually got paid for working, and after a certain amount of time, they were granted their freedom. But that was far and few between. We're talking about an institution of slavery that it existed. And what are slaves? We ask that. Obviously, it's people that are made to work under a hostile environment and are owned by other people. Okay, so once again, it all started 1500s, 1600s. It's a mass dispersion. Now, we look at the mass dispersion of the slaves, and I bet you can't guess who has the largest number of those original descendants in their country. This is going to be a good fun fact for you and try to stump somebody. It is Brazil. Brazil has the largest number of African descendants that were taken during the African diaspora. Now, who do you think's number two? Born in the you got it. United States. United States is number two. We have the most descendants from the African diaspora right here in our country. As we go down, we see that Haiti would be next, then Colombia, and in Colombia and Haiti, they call those descendants from the diaspora Afro Colombians or Afro Haitians. So they still give them that title. Okay, so this started a big movement within the United States. We had a lot of white supremacy going on. Now we've got slave owners who have us working on plantations. We have no rights. We have no say. We are just in existence and dependent upon the white man. And why? It's because, of course, we're in a different country. We don't know where we're at, and we're dependent on him for survival. Once again, this is a little bit of the map. Now, this is the big map. This is where it all started. This is the diaspora. And as you can tell from all the different arrows and all the different angles, that's us, folks. That's us going everywhere. Okay, so we talked a little bit about the African diaspora and how it was the dispersal of millions of Africans to different countries. There were 54,000, another fun fact, there were 54,000 voyages made in that period of time from the 1500 to the 1700s. The first to invade Africa, we already talked about that, kind of the Portuguese. Then we had Brazil, we had Spain, then we had the UK, United Kingdom, which of course is now Britain and all of that put together. And then we even had Spain and the Netherlands. So I think that's about it for today. I hope you got a better feel of what the African diaspora was in regards to the Atlantic slave trade. And as usual, we're going to close with an African proverb. And the proverb for today is, rising early makes the day short. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.